let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Tuesday 10:40 class. Today's class is going to be working a lot more on that upper body strength. So if you do feel any neck and shoulder pain, so what I want you to do is just take a break for a minute or two and then resume back with us. So it starts off with us in our 4-point kneel position. So we're going to be on our hands and knees. You want our knees to be underneath your hips and your hands to be underneath your shoulders. Now, in this position here, we don't want to be looking at the wall because you can see how a lot of that strain is going through my neck. So we're going to look down at the floor with the neck at the back nice and long. So whenever we're doing your exercises in this position, that's where I want your head to be unless stated otherwise. So we're going to start by warming up those shoulder blades. So just having your pelvis in a fairly comfortable position. We'll go do pelvic tilts after this. What we're going to do is some shoulder shrugs. So we're going to take a breath in to prepare. And then as we breathe out, we push our hands down into the ground and our shoulder blades will move away from each other and down towards the floor. Take a breath in this position in between those shoulder blades. And then breathing out, and we're going to sink our chest down towards the floor and the shoulder blades come close together at the back here. You take a breath into the front of the chest and then breathing out, pushing away, shoulder blades open at the back, breathe in and breathe out, dropping our chest down towards the ground, shoulder blades come together. Try and keep them out of your earlobes as you do this exercise. So keeping that neck nice and long as you push away. And dropping back down towards the floor as we breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, pushing away. Now, if you are feeling like you are working up in those upper trap areas and the upper shoulders and they're getting a bit fatigued and sore, a nice way of thinking about this is when we push away, we're pushing away a little bit more on the outside of our hand towards the little fingers. And then when we relax, we're going to keep that pressure there as we drop down. If you come to your thumbs, it tends to let those shoulders creep up towards your earlobes. So try and keep that pressure a little bit more on the outside of your hand. We're going to do one more in each direction. So breathing out, pushing away, get that spine up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, dropping down. Breathe in at the bottom and then breathe out to come up into a neutral position with your shoulders. So that's either drop down or pushing up. So knowing that your palms are on the ground here. So the next exercise you're going to do is some pelvic tilt. So the upper half of your body stays nice and steady and we're just working through that pelvis. So a nice way of thinking about this is a happy dog or a sad dog. So as we breathe out, our tummy turns on and our tailbone goes up into the air. So if you had a tail, your tail would be up in the air like a happy dog. Take a breath in, and then as we breathe out, engage through the tummy. We're going to tuck the tail between our legs and our lower half where our pelvis tucks underneath there. So a sad dog tail position. Take a breath in and breathe out, happy dog. So you can see here that when I'm doing this, I'm only really rocking through my pelvis, but my upper half stays nice and steady. Breathe in and breathe out to tuck. So I want you to try when you tuck that pelvis to use your lower abdominal muscles rather than squeezing through your bottom. So we do want to feel like we're sucking in that lower tummy away from our underwear line. Going up again, happy dog position, taking a breath in and then breathing out, tucking under, just using those lower abs, breathing out, happy dog position, keeping the shoulders nice and steady, neck nice and long, and sad dog. Let's do another 3 of these just to warm up through that lower tummy and the pelvis and low back. Once again, if you're feeling a little bit fatigued in the shoulders and upper body, you can sit back and just give yourself a little break. So one more to go. Breathe out, tuck under, breathe in, pause, and then breathe out up into the air. Now let's find our neutral spine. So we should be in a neutral spine through the top up. Now, neutral spine in the bottom half is neither letting your belly hang towards the floor or feeling like your belly's really sucking in quite hard. So it should be in a nice neutral spine, like flat. If you put a teacup on your pelvis, it shouldn't spill at all. So I want you to imagine that teacup, and I want you to imagine your handprint into the floor or mat or wherever you're doing it. And I want you to keep those points fairly steady and immobile. We're going to start with some shoulder taps, and we're going to do 10 of these. So with our shoulder taps, we keep the neck long, the handprints heavy, and we're going to breathe out, engage through the tummy. We're going to bring our right hand to tap our left shoulder, and we should feel that working our tummy just a little bit. In to bring it back down. Breathe out, left hand to right shoulder, and in to bring it back down. Nice long neck, should be nice and relaxed. Breathe out, right hand, and back down, then left, and back down. So from this point, right, and back down, left, and back down. Right, and back down, then left. Should feel those tummy muscles just working a little bit. One more each side, right, and then left. Now what we're going to do is our arm reaches. So we're going to breathe out, engaging, sliding the right hand along the floor and then lifting it up without letting those ribs drop down, and in to bring it back in. Breathe out left, and in to bring it back in, and right. So making sure we are feeling length rather than a pure lift, because we tend to want to rotate if we do that. But remember, our spine is in a neutral spine position and you've got a teacup on your pelvis. In to bring it back in. So we've got 4 more to go. 4, and bringing it back. Head still remains nice and relaxed. 3, 2, and 1. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do some elbow twists. So what I'll do is I'm going to use my left hand and I'm going to place it on the back of my head or just behind my ear, whatever feels comfortable for you. Now with this one, we're going to push the right hand down into the ground, and then we're going to lift the elbow up to twist and then back down. Let's do another 4 on this side. So we're going to breathe out, push and open, and in to bring it back. And twist it open for 3, and back. 2, and back. Should be feeling this in that arm that's pushing down on the ground. 1, and back. You might also be feeling it in between your shoulder blades, and that's perfectly fine. Let's do the other side. So we're going to breathe out, push down through that arm, and then opening up. Don't worry. If you feel like one side, you can go further. I definitely felt like I could go a little bit further on the other side. And back, 2 more to go. 2, lucky last. And 1, hands down. Now take a little second just to roll the shoulders out. We're going to do the bottom half now with our leg slides and donkey kicks. So once again, hands underneath shoulders, slight palm print down, long through the neck, tummy's engaged and pelvis is in neutral. So we're going to start with the leg slide with our right leg. So we're going to breathe out, tummy engages, slide the right leg along the ground and then lifting it up without losing that neutral spine through your back and in to bring it back in. Breathe out left and lift and in to bring it back in. Now, if we breathe out and we think, oh, I'm going to reach that leg rather than lifting it up, it tends to help us keep our spine in a neutral spine position. Lift and reach and in to bring it back in. 6 more to go. Reach and lift. Should get a little bit of the hamstring and the glute activation with this one. Reach and lift and back. Keeping the neck relaxed. Give yourself a little head shake every now and then. 1 more each side after this one. Making sure we're feeling like those thigh bones are reaching into the back of our pelvis as we reach and lift. Last one. And the next exercise you're going to be doing is our donkey kicks. So our donkey kicks, we're going to do 5 on each side. So we're not going to alternate. So we're going to start with your right hand side. We're going to breathe out, engage. And this time, instead of having your legs straight, you're going to kind of flex your foot and push your heel up towards the ceiling, feeling how that gets that glute muscle engaged. And in to bring it back in. Breathe out, lift, squeezing the bottom, and in to bring it back in. 3 more. 3, and back in. 2, and back in. And 1, and back in. Now let's do the left hand side. So we're going to breathe out, tummy on, push through those hands, long neck, and lift. And in to bring it back in. 4 more. 4, 3, squeezing that bottom, try not to twist through the pelvis. 2, remember that teacup. 1, and back down. Let's do a few cat stretches and then threaded needle for a bit of a stretch through the body, and then we'll go from there, okay? So with our cat stretch, what you're going to do is you're going to breathe out, tucking the tailbone, dropping the head and arching your back as hard, as much as you can up towards the ceiling. Take a breath in and then breathing out. Tailbone goes up into the air, belly drops down, chest lifts up, shoulder blades come together, taking a breath into the front of the body. Breathing out, tuck and roll. So we're moving the whole body this time. And then breathing out, dropping down, let the belly hang towards the floor, breathing into the front, breathing out, using those tummy muscles, using those hands, dropping the head, heads relax, take a breath into the back of the body, and then breathing out, dropping down, tailbone up, belly heavy towards the floor, shoulder blades down and together, breathing out up into our big cat stretch. Opening up through the back of the body, ribs tucking under the lungs, belly button reaching to the spine. Then dropping down, letting go of the tummy, letting go of the glutes, opening the chest. Take a breath in. 1 more in each direction. Breathe out. Up we go. Push and suck in. And then breathe out. Drop down. And then come back to the neutral spine position. So with our threaded needle, it's kind of like that combination of the elbow twist with a reach under, and it stretches those muscles in between your shoulder blades. So I'm actually going to demonstrate it with my right hand here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my elbow and try and elbow the ceiling and turn to have a look. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my hand down underneath my left arm. I can bend my left elbow, sliding it along the ground and turning to have a look, and we should feel a stretch in between the shoulder blades. We're going to come back up. We're going to elbow the ceiling and turn to have a look. And then coming through, sliding and twist. Yep. Reaching up. And through. Up. Breathing how you like with this one, taking it as slow or as fast as you like. One more. That's it. And back down. And we're going to go on to your next exercise. So with this one, we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to be doing my left arm. What I would like for you to do, elbow the ceiling, turn to have a look, and then coming down and twisting. Oh, good stretch. Coming on up, elbow the roof, turn to have a look, and reaching through. Feeling like nice stretch through the body. Definitely as you reach through, feeling that stretch through the back of the shoulder blade. Now you can do this one with a full roller, and you'll just slide your hand on the full roller as you slide underneath. It's not really required. It does make it a little bit nicer to get that stretch as you reach across. 2 more. Lucky last. And through. Beautiful. Now what you're going to be doing is coming to the front. Give your shoulders a bit of a roll to relax them. And we're going to start with our knees bent. So I do want you to be sitting more to the back end of your mat and not smack bang in the middle, because we will be rolling down for our assisted roll downs in a minute. All right. So with this exercise, you're going to have your hands underneath your knees, kind of helping to grip hold of those hamstrings. And we're going to prep ourselves for our assisted roll down in this upright position. So we're going to do a few pelvic tilts in this position like we did at the start. We're going to take a breath in, and as we breathe out, we're going to suck in that lower tummy away from your underwear line. We're going to just tuck the pelvis underneath you. Take a breath in, and then breathe out, coming up through the pelvis. Now, we do want this movement to be coming from low and not from high. So sometimes it really helps to either have your hands on your hips to get that tuck through the pelvis, or you can have one hand on your chest and one hand on your tummy as we tuck underneath and come up tall. Just working through the abs, trying not to collapse through the chest. Because with these roll downs, we want to initiate the movement from our pelvis. If we come from the top half, we don't end up activating the right muscles low. And we want that TA, that lower tummy muscle, and your pelvic floor to engage before anything else. One more, breathe out, drawing in, and then coming back up tall. So once again, placing your hands behind your knees, and we're going to do that movement, but this time we're going to try and lay down on the floor, one segment of our spine at a time. Keeping the neck relaxed, taking a breath in nice and tall. As we breathe out, tucking through the pelvis like we were just doing before, and we keep rolling down. Now, at this point, we'll feel that our legs at some point will want to float up into the air as we gently fall down back onto our mat. We take a breath in at the bottom. As we breathe out, nod the chin, start to roll up through the chest, slide those ribs down, and we can use the legs to help facilitate our movement up. Once your shoulders are over your hips, breathing in nice and tall. Breathing out, pelvic floor and lower tummy turn on. We roll down. Feet will float up as we gently come down segment by segment. Breathing in at the bottom, and then breathing out, nod, and roll back up. Breathing in, breathing out, tuck the tummy. Work from the pelvis, trying to get each segment down. Breathing in at the bottom, breathing out, nod, and roll up. Shoulders are over hips, up nice and tall. Now, if you are struggling with this movement, the most important thing is that control down. If you are struggling to come up the way that I'm showing you, just come up however you feel comfortable, reset, and then breathe out and come back down again. Eventually, as you get stronger and the movement becomes a little bit more easy for you, you'll be able to do this movement in its entirety. We're going to do another one, and then we're going to do our full roll downs. Now, with your full roll downs, go to them if you can, but if you're finding that this exercise is difficult enough, I'll get you to continue this one. So our full roll downs are much the same, except our legs are straight and we're not using those legs to help us roll up and down. So we're going to start with our hands kind of parallel to the floor. Now, sometimes I find if my palms are up, it helps to facilitate the lift up, but that's up to you. See how you go with this one. So we're going to take a breath in, nice and tall. As we breathe out, working from the lower tummy muscles, controlling that movement down. Breathe in, the arms come up over the head. And then as we breathe out, arms come up, head comes up, rolling up till your shoulders are over your hips. And then in, nice and tall. Breathing out, scooping that lower tummy muscle, rolling down. Breathing in, the arms come up and over. Breathing out, hands go up, head comes up, shoulder lifts up. We roll up using those tummy muscles, and then in nice and tall. Now, there's a few ways that you can make this easier other than say, for example, doing the exercises that we just did before, you can use a TheraBand around your feet, and that will help facilitate your movement up. Or I've got here a weight. So you can use like a kilo or two with this one. And just by having the weight in your hand, it helps you to activate the obliques and those TA core muscles a little bit more. So if you don't have it with you right now, that's absolutely fine. But it's just a nice little trick to help us go from that assisted roll down that we were doing before into the full roll down here. We're going to do two more. Breathe out, scoop and roll down. Breathing in, breathing out, coming on up. In nice and tall, and breathing out, rolling down. Last one. Breathing in and breathing out. And in nice and tall. All righty then. So what we're going to do now is we're going to slowly come down onto our back using whichever way you came down before. So I'm going to do it in the full roll down. We're going to come all the way down and we're just going to stay down on the mat. Now from here, you're going to bend one leg and then your other leg. So our tummies are nice and warmed up now with those exercises that we've already been doing. So we're going to go on to our double leg dead bugs, toe taps and leg slides, and then eventually our chest lifts and hundreds. So a little bit of abdominal strength happening here. So what I would like for you to do is we're going to breathe out, engage the tummy, breathe in, float your right leg up into the tabletop position, and then breathe out and float your left. Breathe in, pause, then your right leg goes down, and then your left. So we're going to do another 3 starting with our right leg. So breathe in, right leg floats up, breathe out left. Breathe in, pause, breathe out right, and in, left. Breathe in, right, left, we pause, right, and left. Trying to keep the tension out of your neck and shoulders. Right, left, pause, right, then left. So let's do 4 with our left side. So we're going to breathe in, left floats up, then your right, left, and then right. Making sure that we have those tummy muscles engaging. So breathing in, and then out, we breathe in, pause, breathe out, left leg floats down, and then your right. So with this one, if you are struggling a little bit with maintaining a neutral spine position, what I want you to do is go in a slight inference, and we're just going to tuck that pelvis just a little bit more, or reach those hands up, because it does help to activate a little bit more of your core and helps to keep you in a bit more of a steady position. So that one should have been the last one. What you're going to do now is we're going to do our toe taps, which is kind of the reverse of what we did. So we're going to float one leg, doesn't matter which leg, and then your other leg up. So this is the position that we're going to do our toe taps in. So from here, you're going to breathe out, making sure you're engaged, and the right leg floats down and then to come back up. We don't want to move that pelvis at all. Once again, reaching those hands up towards the ceiling, it will help you maintain a better neutral spine. And down and in to float it back up. Breathe out, down with the right leg, and in to float it back up. And breathe out lower. Now, if you are pretty strong enough to reach and touch the floor, I want you to think that the floor is lava. So we don't want to have that foot actually landing down, because it does give you a bit of a break. And I want those tummy muscles to have the endurance to do this. Then left side, we're going to do one more each side. Right and up, left, then up. And you can hug those knees to your chest just to let those hip flexors and the quad muscles relax. Now what we're going to do is our dead bug legs. So we're straightening those legs out, or leg slides, whatever you really want to call them. Once again, hands up if you're struggling with neutral, or hands down. Starting in that tabletop position. Taking a breath in as we breathe out, engage and reach one leg and in to come back down. So how far down really depends on how much you can control. So for example, if I go too low, my back arches off. So you grade, it doesn't matter if your legs are up towards the ceiling or pretty much parallel to the ground. So as long as you keep your spine in a neutral spine position and your abs engaging, breathe out, reach, and in to come back in, and reach, and in to come back in, reach, and in to come back in, reach, and in to come back in. 2 more, 2, and 1. Floating one leg down, and then your other leg down. So now we've worked on the lower half with these abs. Let's start working on our sit-ups or our crunches or our Pilates chest lift. So we're going to interlock your hands and we're going to place them behind your head, cupping the base of your skull. From here, you're going to feel that nice link through the back of your head. You can kind of use your hands to kind of lift it up a little bit further, and your elbows are in your peripheral vision. Now with this one, your pelvis has to stay nice and steady in a neutral spine position. So we don't want to tuck under as you lift up. We're going to take a breath in. We're going to breathe out, turning on your tummy, nodding the chest and rolling the shoulder blades off. And we want to think about those ribs sliding down towards your hips. Your gaze is just above your knees, and then breathing out to come back down. Breathing in at the bottom, breathing out, engage, nod and roll, sliding those ribs down, breathing it in at the top, and breathing out, coming back down. Breathe out, engage and lift. Breathe in, breathe out. If you're feeling a lot of tension through your neck, I want you to imagine that you have a right plumb in between your chin and your chest, and that your head is still nice and relaxed in your hands. Sometimes it really helps to kind of clamp your hands around the base of your skull. And back down. Breathing in at the bottom, breathing out to roll up. So we're going to do another 3 of these. And then what we're going to do after that is we're going to do our full chest lift and then go into our hundreds. Lucky last, breathe out and lift, breathe in and breathe out to come back down. So the general rule with your chest lift position, our full chest lift, is that whenever you breathe in, the only thing that's allowed to move is your arms, but not your body. So there's a few ways which your breath can actually facilitate and help you out, which is important when we go into our hundreds exercise after this. So we take a breath in, we breathe out, and we do the exact same chest lift that we just did before, but this time send your breath to the back of the ribs, your arms come up and over towards your thighs, and then breathe out, go a little bit further. Now breathe into the back of the ribs, bringing those hands back behind your head, and then breathe out to lower. So if we breathe into the front of our chest, what often happens as we breathe in and reach up and over is that our body drops down. Then breathe in, hands come back, and then breathe out to come back down. So do imagine that you are breathing into the back of the ribs. So breathing out, nod and come up, breathe in, up and over, breathe out a little bit further, breathe into the back of those ribs, hands come back, and breathe out to come down. Now, if your neck's a little bit sore, what you can do is just keep one hand behind your head like so, and that's absolutely fine. At the end of the day, we want to be working the abs, not those neck muscles. Back down. 2 more. Nod and lift. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. 1 more. We should be feeling this a lot in the abdominal muscles. Breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and then breathe out. Now we're going to be doing our hundreds. So our hundreds is like that top position. I'm going to show you a different position depending on what you want to do. So the first position is this position with your feet on the ground. Second position is feet up in the air. And third position is legs out straight. So you can pick your poison. You can also start with one and go down as you fatigue. So I'm going to show you the variation today with my legs in tabletop. So I'm going to float one leg up in the tabletop and then your other. Hands interlock behind your head. We're going to come up, reach up and over. Now, when we breathe in, we sustain and we pump our arms for 5. And then we breathe out Still pumping the arms for 5 until we get to 100. You're all ready? Take a breath in to prepare, and we breathe out 2, 3, 4, 5, in 2, 3, 4, 10. Out 2, 3, 4, 5, in 2, 3, 4, 20. 2, 3, 4, 5, 30. 40. 50. 60. 70. 90. 100. Bringing those hands back behind your head, dropping the head down, and one leg in the other. So we should have felt a little bit of a nice burn through those abdominal muscles. 100 is very much a traditional Pilates exercise for you to do. So that's kind of the end of our real hard abdominal exercises. And now we're going to go on to a few stretching exercises now. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring our hands out 45 degrees away from the body. We're going to have our knees and our feet close together as we do our side-to-side twist. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to breathe in and we're going to bring our knees and feet over to the right-hand side where the shoulders stay nice and relaxed. And breathe out, coming back to the center. What you want to do with this one is don't force the movement as you go out to one side. It's just letting those abdominal muscles and those back muscles and the waist lengthen. Back to the center. Breathing in off to the right. Letting those muscles go. And back to the center. Just feeling like you can go a little bit further. Where your head and your shoulders are heavy into the ground, like they're full of lead. And just letting all those abdominal muscles go. This is a nice stretch to do if you're someone who gets tight in the morning, especially through the low back. Just helps to settle it down just a little bit and get a little bit more movement, so long as we're not forcing it. I'm going to do one more to each side. So when we go to the right-hand side, I want everyone to keep your legs to the right-hand side. And we're going to breathe out and breathe in for a couple of breaths here. And what I want you to do is I want you to feel where you have that restriction through your body. So for example, if you feel like your lower ribs are really restricting you going further, send your breath there. And then breathe out and see if you can just relax it a little bit more and see if you can go a little bit further without effort. One more. And then breathing out, coming back to the center. We're going to do the exact same thing, but in the opposite direction. So we're going to breathe out, go over, or in whichever way works. And you're just going to hang out here for a little bit. Doesn't matter if your feet touch the ground or not. Some people will be more flexible in one way or the other. Some people will just be a bit tighter. Really depends on you and your body. Taking a breath in to where you feel the tightness is, even if it's in your hip, try and send your breath and your awareness there. And then breathing out and try and getting it to relax a little bit further. Beautiful. And then as you next exhale, coming on up, you're back to that neutral spine position. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to grab your right leg behind your knee. And I'm going to do a few active hamstring stretches. So with this one, keeping the neck nice and long, we're going to breathe out and reach that leg, trying to stretch out through the back and back down. And we're going to do another 7 of these. 7 and back down. 6. Doesn't matter how far you go, just as far as you go. Oh, that's a bit of a stretch, and then backing off. And reach. And back off. 4 more. 4. And you should find you can go a little bit further each time. I'm talking millimeters, maybe centimeters. I'm certainly not talking about 10 or 20 centimeters. And 1. And back down. And we're going to do the same thing with the other leg. Holding on and breathe out, reach. Oh, sometimes you might find that one leg's a little bit tighter. So you can see on this side, for me, my leg isn't going as far as the other side. And look, that's absolutely perfectly normal for some. But we do want to make sure if we're feeling like we're tighter on one side, is it because our glutes aren't working? Is the tummy not working? Is that where you have an area of pain? Just keep on stretching out where we're tight. Last one. And back down. So what we're going to do now is our mermaids. So we're going to come up into a seated position, however you feel comfortable. Now, your leg position can either be crossed over with your heels underneath your bottom or a Z-sit position. Your Z-sit position kind of stabilizes you through your pelvis the most, but it can be quite hard on those hip bones. So if you are in the Z-sit position with your right foot on your left thigh and your left foot out to the side and you're kicked off to the side, you can have your legs straight or crossed over in any other variation. So we're going to have our hands down beside you and we're going to breathe in. We're going to breathe in tall through the back of our head towards the ceiling. Now, as we breathe out, our head will drop over to the left-hand side. Our right shoulder lifts up, our right arm comes up and over, and we're trying to open up through those ribs. Take a breath in and then breathe out, back up to the top, breathe in, and then let's go over to the left-hand side again. Making sure the space between your ears and your shoulders remains the same. With this one, if you do feel a little bit of tightness in the head and the neck, you can place your hand on your head and just move through the elbow. And sometimes that's a nice way of doing it. Or alternatively, just pause with this exercise and not do it. And back up. And over. And back up. One more. Over. And back up. Let's change our leg position, unless of course you're in a cross-legged or heels on your bottom on your heels, should I say. So breathing in, tall through the back of the head towards the ceiling. We breathe out, your head goes over to the right, shoulder and arm. We're opening up through the left-hand side. You should feel a stretch through the side of the body. And then breathing out to come back up. Breathe in tall. Breathe out, engage and over. Breathe into where you feel the restriction. And then breathe out. Back down. Breathe in tall. Breathe out, head, shoulders, arm, over we go. Feeling a nice stretch to the side of the body. And then exhale to come back up. And over. Once again, if it's too much for the neck and shoulders, placing the hand on your head, it does help. And thinking about the movement coming from your rib cage and not forcing it through your head. So the distance between your ears and your shoulders pretty much stay the same throughout the whole movement. And one more. Over we go. And up. Beautiful. And our last exercise today is our standing roll downs, which I always like to finish with a standing upright position because it does help us to find our standing neutral. So what I'm going to get you to do is we're going to stand with our feet parallel. Now I want you to have a look, see if you're turned out. If you are, try and get them within 0 to 30 degrees. Okay, so they're either parallel or slightly turned down. Now, if you're going to rock your feet forwards and backwards, and I want you to stop with just a little bit more weight to the balls of your feet, not to the point where your heels are lifting off, just a little bit more pressure through the balls of the feet. So we're going to take a breath in, our head goes tall towards the ceiling, and then as we breathe out, our head becomes heavy and drops down. Our fingertips feel like lead, and we're trying to get each segment of our spine to roll off the other while keeping a little bit more weight through the front part of our feet till we're down at the bottom here. At the bottom, we take a breath in. You can bend your knees if you need to. And then as we breathe out, I want you to use your tummy muscles and the back of your legs to re-stack you back up, segment by segment. And then your head fills with helium as it's up towards the ceiling nice and tall. Breathing out, we grow heavy again as we drop down towards the floor. Each segment of our spine coming off one after a time. At the bottom, we take a breath in, And then we breathe out, scooping the tummy, using the back of the legs as we roll our spine back up tall, taking a breath in at the top, breathing out, coming back down again, segment by segment. Might be able to go a little bit further with each one, that's normal. And then breathing out, coming back down. Well, coming back up, should I say. In nice and tall, 2 more. Breathing out, curling down, segment by segment, controlling the fall as you go down, but the tummy's always scooping up to control, to make sure we don't fall on our head. And then breathing out, rolling back up, segment by segment. In nice and tall, 1 more to go. Breathing out, just letting all those back muscles release. Let that tummy muscle support you. Let the back of the legs support you. Taking a breath in and then breathing out. Tummy in the back of the legs, rolling you back up, nice and tall. Taking a breath in here and then breathing out. And that's it for today's Tuesday class. I hope you all enjoyed it and continue to stay safe and happy in these difficult times. Alrighty then, see you next week.